been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? We got to talk about these markets. Things are starting to, heat up. What's going on with my audio on my end? Got it all sorted. We're going to be getting going here in just a few minutes. We gotta wait for the Discover Crypto stream to stop playing, but we're going to be getting going live here in just a second. We got that about a minute and 48-second long song. My brain is not working today. Working out at 5 a.m. and not eating breakfast. Holy moly. We got some great things to be covering today, though. So everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. We're going to be getting going here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and get these tunes going, and we're going to get going.
I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this. Can't nobody tell me nothing. SEC and its policies rely on whatever Gary thinks. Bitcoin's a flight to quality. I heard that from Larry Fink. Every hour losing purchasing power on foolish out there. It's not our fault. Blame the cult. It's the political cowards. When it comes to gas, our purchasing power just got cut in half. I sit back and laugh, open my bag, fill it with stacks and sats. Bitcoin, pumping, altcoins, pumping. I've been preparing for this. Can't tell me nothing.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. We are hearing from clients around the world.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoins, pump. I've been preparing for this.
And I believe crypto will play that type of role.
Bitcoin, pump, altcoin, pump.
We are hearing from clients around the world.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that.
We're going to be getting going here in just a moment, everybody. I want to see everybody getting active in the chat. What are you doing today? Have you moved your body? Have you done any exercise? Where's your mind at? Are you grateful for whatever you do have? Don't focus on what you don't. What's your action plan to get more of what it is that you want? That's what this is about. BitLab Academy. We are a community of doers. So let's do it. We're going to be getting into this in a second. Everybody throw a 1 in chat if you're ready to talk charts, talk crypto, and talk about what is coming next. Drop an emoji in the chat. Let's have this chat flowing. Let's go. There it is, mute. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. I hope you're doing well. My name's Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the family. If you are new, we've got a lot of new people here in the audience, here in the community, because we've been growing so fast in the last 2 months. So if you are new, or actually even if you're old, doesn't matter, let me know where you tuned in from, what city, what state, what country, and then also what are you doing right now? Are you driving to work? Are you sitting at home? Are you hiding in the bathroom? Do you have the phone in your pocket? You're just listening to the audio? Let me know what you're doing and where you're tuned in from. We're going to be talking about these markets because we got some really beautiful things lining up. And I didn't even realize that May 22nd date that I shared with you all is a more important date than I even realized. I don't know why my camera keeps turning, but there we go. Yeah, so we got to talk about what's going on here with Bitcoin, but also with some of these dates that we discussed and some of these important factors that are coming up to a very, very near term. Because look at this tightening here with the price action tightening within this range. Whether you see an inverted head and shoulders, whether you see a symmetrical triangle, whether you just see the price on the side and you want it to go up, none of these things matter. You have to put them and use them in concert with each other to really make the best decisions about what's coming to this market. What is likely going to happen? I see we got William Rhodes in the house. He said, "Pump it, Kelly." Dale Rodriguez, who was the first one in the room. We got Crypto Man Sam, Free and Fighting. Donato Cabrera, Alexandra G is back in the house. Man and Meta. What's up, Sawtooth Hiker? We got all the original, all the OGs here in the house, and some new folks as well. But big love to each and every one of you. I just wanted to give a little shout out to everybody. Also, shout out to Galactics, our channel partner, as well as Arculus, our partner with cold storage, best cold storage in the game. But we got to talk about what's happening here and that May 22nd date. Let's actually mark it out here on the chart. That would be right here. May 22nd. So option V, we have this. I'm going to make this a little bit larger because remember, I had outlined this date as a possible date that we can potentially see a big move coming into the chart. And maybe it happens before, maybe it happens after. I'm just using this as a sort of a bellwether here on the chart for a date that I think could be, a good reason for a move up for a couple of different reasons. Some of them a little bit speculative. Others are actual fundamental reasons that could actually jump the market. Got to be drinking a lot of water now that I'm working out. But how's everybody doing that? I want to know everybody that's in the chat right now before we dive into the various things we're going to be talking about. Have you been buying anything? Have you been selling anything? Are you trading because you feel like you just need to be doing something? Or are you sitting on your hands? Sometimes the best move is no move. If you've been preparing, like all of us have here at BitLab Academy for this last year, some for multiple years, but specifically this show, we've been live for about a year. If you've been preparing, then right now you don't need to jump at every single little breakout on a 5-minute chart trend line. In fact, you're probably doing a disservice to yourself more often than not because we want to stack the probabilities into our favor. So if we're just jumping at moves because we need something to happen, then you're dopamine chasing. You're not actually doing something that's actually conducive to long-term gains, to long-term life-changing money. And some of you here are going to have absolutely life-changing money, and some of you are going to absolutely lose all your money. And I don't want that to happen. My purpose here is to share the tools and resources and strategies and community so that you can see where we've messed up, so you don't have to make those same silly errors, and you can basically shortcut your way by not making those errors. All you have to do is be humble enough to say, this guy's done it. Let me figure out what he's saying. And don't just listen to me. Listen to Frankie Candles and CryptoFace and Tom Crown and Discover Crypto. It's all about getting a wide basket of information and then figuring out within that basket of information that you get what resonates best with what you understand. And if you don't understand something, dive into it further. But then also pulling together a strategy that works best for you, because some people may look at this chart and they may be absolute masters at trading a breakout of inverse head and shoulders or just regular head and shoulders. Some people are amazing at trading breakouts of trend lines, regardless of the chart pattern, just seeing a trend line and knowing how to play that. Some people use the BitLab trading stack and they're watching for what's going on a couple different time frames on what's happening here with the weekly VWAP and how that is in relationship to the stochastics and the money flow. The point is, I'm going to give you a wide variety of tools. I do this on a daily basis, and I want to make sure that you have different tools to pick from, but you are going to have to be the one. You're going to have to be the arbiter. You're going to have to be the one that says, this works for me, this doesn't. Sometimes that does take some trial and error, but you should not be doing trial and error with your entire portfolio. I just want to say that very loudly and very proudly. But we got some things to talk about today. The markets are doing some stuff, and we're coming into a date, and as the title of this video suggests, I think that a lot of people are considering that sell and may walk away. That's what's going to happen. It always happens. Well, we are in a perfect storm right now, I think, to have a different type of summer, have a different type of May through September. We've got the election coming up. This is an election cycle year. We have the money flow starting to kick back on. We're seeing a little bit of impatience with retail in markets right now. And we had this idea that this massive recession and this massive drawdown was going to come, and it never did. We have the CPI data is starting to be somewhat consistent. It's also showing sometimes a little drop in inflation, sometimes a little, but the retail is impatient with what's going on, and they do not trust the US dollar anymore. Not only US, but the global, the world over, people are saying this is all just a crock of shit. Absolutely. Now, what we can see here with investments and trading using crypto or even some of the other traditional assets that you may be trading into and out of, but more specifically, finding those projects that you can stack into long term. I think that this wind is starting to shift, and in this stream, I'm going to be talking about some of those things that are happening that are going to, for me, sort of suggest that we may be having a different type of summer. I think that we are more likely than not to have a bullish June. Now, of course, if we have a sell-off in June and it drops again and there's a washout down and down into even through July and August, I'm not gonna be mad at that. All we can do is, create our speculation, adjust our strategy, look at the charts on a daily basis, and practice risk along the way. My longer term held coins, or the coins that I'm buying positions on for this bull market, doesn't matter to me if things drop from here, because I bought them because of strong fundamentals. I bought them because of community. I bought them because where I think they can go throughout this bull run. So if any of the assets that I'm holding in my position or long-term holder fall from here, I either sit on my hands, meaning I don't do anything, meaning in terms of active trading or moving investments and stuff. You have seen in my portfolio that I've been sharing on the BitLab Discord that I have made some reallocations. I have moved out of stuff and reallocated it, but that's when I get a fundamental view change on a project, like I did with TIA. I moved out of TIA, I moved that into Ondo, Arrow, and Injective. I also moved out of Cardano into Polkadot. That's because I did a lot of deep dive on Polkadot. Now remember, I have multiple portfolios, so this is specifically for the altcoin portfolio. But for the most part, the majority of coins in my portfolio right now, if the market, that's what I'm saying, I'm thinking June's gonna be bullish. If it's bearish, this just means I get more opportunity to move more capital in at a lower rate before this market runs away. And why do I feel like that? Why do I feel confidence in this? Look at all these emojis blasted up here in the live chat. I love it when you guys are super active in here. Big love to everybody here. I see Zachary Martin says, just stopped in to give Kelly Kellum a quick like, and now I got to whip up some brunch. I'll be back in 20. Hey, go whip up some brunch, come back, throw it on 2X mode, and you can catch up. You'll be live by the end. So shout out to everybody that is here. It's a shout out to everyone of you that tunes in, even if it's on a once a week or once a month basis. I appreciate each and every one of you. This is a community. You are the closest thing I have to friends and family that I spend time with as much as I do. I love you all so much. Now let's go ahead and talk about why I'm feeling so confident about what's going on, because when we look at this chart, we've seen it in a variety of different ways, but we got to keep looking at these things as the signals sort of adjust along the way, as new data comes in, but also as a reminder when we're sitting here looking at Bitcoin on a 1 hour chart going, oh, when's it going to move? Zoom the hell out. Look at what's going on here. We're just looking at the shape of these previous bear market consolidation into bull market. Bear market consolidation into bull market. Where are we at right now? Green dot, green dot, green dot. What's the similarity? This is the struggle the price action had at previous all-time high. Okay, price came up, struggle. It doesn't really look like a struggle zoomed out here, but I know on this date, over the course of about, I think it was like 60 days, 48 days, something like that. Let's actually look. Previous cycle. Go to the daily. There we go. Okay, so what was this time frame right here? This is that period of time that we're looking at right here. It looks like it just went straight up, right? But this is why it's so good. This is a weekly chart. This is why this doesn't really look like there was much of a hiccup. But when we're zoomed in on these smaller time frames, it can feel like the never-ending chop. And this is why so many people get wrecked trading or investing in anything, not just crypto. It could be GameStop, could be Nvidia, could be Berkshire Hathaway. People get so myopically focused on, I want money now, that they forget, why are you buying it? Because you believe in this thing over time. So looking at this, looks like there was no struggle, but we have to remind ourselves the struggle was real. This was that struggle. Zooming in on this, let's look at this struggle. Let's just zoom in a bit more. I'm gonna make this a bit fatter. We see this breakout from this bull flag right here. Boom, bull flag. We had a breakout. This breakout basically took us from here all the way up to this high here. That's a 30% move to the upside. Before we got there, this was a 26% move to the upside, followed by a Okay, come on, measuring tool. Followed by 26 move to the upside, followed by a 17% move to the downside. Quick washout, and then immediately rocketed back up. Let's see where that top is. 23% move to the upside, immediately again followed by, let's see, immediately again followed by another 12% move. This was just shaking people out. So only the most deserving people that had a vision longer than what's happening today could take advantage. Even if they waited till the price action came up to this previous all-time high, they missed all these gains from all the way down here. 4,000. Actually, the bottom was over here. Let's see. The bottom was down here at 3,100 or something like that. You know, 3,100. All the way up here. You could have waited if you're, you know, I'm not saying you should, but if you had waited till this point, you get to the previous all-time high. Some people take some profits because you don't know how high it can truly go, right? But then we see from there, we have a move on this breakout, basically from there all the way up, another 230% to the upside. Now, where are we at right now? Coming back to this macro chart, let's just remind ourselves of these macro outlines that give you an idea about what is more likely to come than not. Does that mean it's going to come tomorrow? It does not mean that. Does it mean it's going to come the next day? It does not mean that. It just means on the macro, we have some of this work to do. Big move up. Big washout down, big move up, final washout down, launch. So same thing here. We have this on a smaller scale in this zone, but we're doing the same thing right now. Now, how many days with that on this previous cycle? Let's see. When we came into this, measure this across, that was about, let's see, about 30 days. Now, we've doubled that this time, but we have to take into consideration that the market is a hell of a lot bigger now. The market is a hell of a lot bigger now. So from this zone here, we can see we're at about 60 something days here. Let's see, 72 days. So time is just flying by as I'm spitting on my keyboard. 72 days. This is not the worst thing in the world because we've come into this zone. There's nothing to worry about here. In fact, we're actually looking more bullish than we were a couple weeks ago because we did break north. We did break above this descending level of resistance, and we found support on this 2 times. We tried to wash out once, tried to wash out again, and we're sitting there kind of sitting in this sort of little holding pattern right now that is, remember, we have this inverted head and shoulders. That's essentially, we have a shoulder, head, shoulder. It's kind of sideways, kind of ugly. And this does not guarantee this is going to move to the upside. But again, even without thinking it may or may not move to the upside on the macro, this is where we're at. Look at these green dots. What happened on the break of this previous all-time high? Price action cooled down. Okay, now what do we also look at? We don't only look at the price. This is a price action charted. We want to look at what's happening down here, the stochastics. See this? Reset. The stochastics reset on both of these. Boom, reset, reset. Reset, and what happened here? Look at this. Here's a low, here's a higher low. What do we have on the stochastics? Here's a low, a lower low. So what is this? We have hidden bullish divergence on this, showing that this data reset further, even though the price is higher, giving us more room, more ammunition, more power behind the move when it's going to launch to the upside. So what do we see right here? So the price action came all the way up to this zone, and we see that this was actually quite high until just right about the end of this is when this reset, and then we got that launch to the upside. And we saw weakness coming into this because the stochastics continued trending to the downside. This was kind of an ominous thing that we could have, in hindsight, it's very easy to recognize. But where we're at right now, this is what we're interested in. Where we're at right now, this is a very similar setup to what we saw right here. See this low and this low? We have a lower low here as these lows are higher on the price. What do we see over here? This is obviously a much more stretched out version over here. This is where the ETFs got approved. ETFs got the sell-off right here, the sell the rumor sort of narrative in the market, and then launched to the upside. Now, what happened in these two zones? Well, on this dip right here, we can see the stochastics reset. Now, look at this dip right here. Look at how much higher this is. This is roughly $39,000. I'm just looking across on this chart, estimating about $39,000. Where is price right now? And everybody's losing their mind. They're bored out of their minds. How can they be bored when, only a few months ago, we were down here in the 30s, Now we've had a pullback, not a crash, a pullback. And this data point, look at this data point. Look at how much lower this is now, giving us more gas in the car to drive further up the hill. That's essentially what you're seeing here. The engine's fully cooled down. And when we do make the move, I do think we are going to have an absolutely incredible price action once we break out of a couple key zones. And we're going to talk about more about those zones here in a second. But let's look at a couple more charts, and then we have some news articles stuff or some other important tweets we got to look at as well. Bull run is now on, says Titan of Crypto. And when we're looking at this, the RAR indicator recently entered the overbought territory, but no need to worry, as after this event, Bitcoin takes at least 8 months before topping, according to past cycles. So looking at this indicator here, enters overbought territory. This is this dotted line that we have here. We have the overbought and the underbought, oversold. You could call it either way. But did this mark the end of the market when this went into overbought? This is why I actually do not like using the term overbought or oversold, even on RSI or stochastics. I like thinking, like when levels are into very strong territories, like when RSI is high, people want to say it's overbought. It's not. It just means that the strength behind those buys, the strength behind that market price level and the buying under it is still very strong. And this is on the 1 month basis. So on the higher time frame you go, beyond 5 minute, 15 minute, hour, 4 hour, 1 day, 3 day, 1 week, you get these situations where you can see, especially again on this 1 month chart, getting into this very strong territory. Okay, some people say overbought, but very, very high amount of strength. Now, once we crossed into this, did this mark the end of the market? No, this is right about where the previous all-time high was, and then we continued higher. Okay, where was this? Right about the previous all-time high. Continued higher. I mean, in fact, we had the parabola truly started after that. What happened right here, right when we crossed previous all-time high, and what happens? This is where the parabola got started. So right now, we're getting a little bit of a correction. Again, even if we wash out further down, there's so much bullishness going on right now. It just screams opportunity. The further down price goes, the better opportunity it is. I'm not scared in any stretch of the imagination. But we see this entering this overbought sort of zone right at previous all-time high. Are we going to get that parabola next? We're seeing a repeat on a regular basis here in every cycle, in addition to the fact that now we have essentially what feels like institutions trying to race to the front door of having Bitcoin on their treasury before everybody else. We're seeing it across the board, and I got some really great information I'm going to be sharing with you in a second. But just take a look at this. This is very important on the context. Whether you're just investing in Bitcoin, whether you're just trading it, whether you're just buying altcoins, Bitcoin is going to be that arbiter of this. It's really signaling this shift globally about the power of what the reserve is. The US dollar has been the reserve. And a lot of people don't realize this because we're so focused on this smaller time frame. Even if we're looking back 100 years, that is but a blink of an eye. And when you look at the multi-generations, the tens of thousands of years of humans having culture. But when we just look back at the last 250 years, actually this is more, because this stretch right here is 250 years right here. But this is the arch of the power of the reserve currency, what was used for trade, right? We had the Dutch, then we had the British pound, and then the US. We're kind of coming up on this sort of period right here, and you can see this is the important part. As these rise, it's not like Dutch ends and then the British pound started. There's going to be some overlap on these. And similarly, the next option, I do not believe, is going to be a nation state which has a controlling interest in manipulating how that currency is used, sanctioning like we just did. The U.S. government made such a misstep. Whether or not you agree with Russia or Ukraine or Israel or Gaza, just look at this from a financial standpoint. As somebody that's in markets, you have to be agnostic of all things emotional when you're just trying to understand the data and the political chess games that are happening here. The U.S. made such a misstep was about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, whenever I don't even remember when it was. It was while I was with the Crypto Jeb team. So it must have been about 2 years ago. I guess in February or something like that, right? But the U.S. sanctioned Russia and also froze the U.S. dollar assets that they had, essentially weaponizing the U.S. dollar. Now, what would another government want to then now put their money or put their investments or put their, any bit of their treasury holdings into something? Another government has the ability to just say, we're going to freeze that money because we don't like what you're doing. Regardless of what somebody's doing is right or wrong, that's irrelevant. When you're looking at the chessboard of incentivizing somebody to use a currency, you don't weaponize it. And the interesting thing about this is Bitcoin has risen in a time right now where obviously we have internet. Bitcoin would be impossible without it. We have the internet, we have interconnectivity, and we also have this awareness through social media about how bad the money is being managed by our governments. And we're also having a lot more visual immediate imagery about what's happening on the ground in different political spheres and how money's being spent and this, what's happening in these different wars. All the stuff we didn't know 150 years ago. We just saw what articles were being ripped and scripted by the government so people would be on board with that, whatever conflict that was. But Bitcoin is agnostic to all that, and we can see that this is kind of starting that arch. Do I think it's going to be the world reserve currency? I think it's likely. I think it has a strong likelihood. I don't think the U.S. dollar is going to end in our lifetime. So don't think I'm saying that by any means. But the rise of Bitcoin and the fact that it is agnostic to all these other governments, it's agnostic to what your hopes or dreams are. It is just a store of value that's on a distributed ledger that is audited every 10 minutes, every time a block is printed, separate from all, it's a fixed supply. There's so many good things here. I don't need to go over this with all you. You all are here because you understand this. Sometimes I'm just trying to give you talking points for those conversations that all of you at some point, if you haven't already, will be having with your friends and family when they see you becoming successful and they're doubting, like, well, why Bitcoin? This is fake. Okay, if it's fake, tell me how the fuck the dollar isn't. Sorry about that. I get mad about the US dollar. But everybody hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button, ding the bell. We got some more stuff to go into here. We're gonna be looking at some TA here in a minute too. But we see this is that thing when we're looking at these charts, this regularity, and we also know the market cap is exploding higher. We also know it needs an equally exponential amount of capital flow to come in, in order for it to rise from 10,000 to 10,000. In order for it to rise to 10,000 to 10,100, takes more energy than it did to go from 100 to 101, right? And that's the same thing, just on an exponent. However, there's an exponential amount more as price goes higher of monetary energy to move the price higher. We're wanting this parabola. How do you get the parabola unless you have things like this? And we've been talking about this the last 2 weeks, I especially wanted to highlight this because this price is feeling frustrating to some people. Price is not just going up and away. Like this was beautiful, up and then a little sideways and then up, a little sideways and then up, and then, oh, it's scary. It's about to go back and break past all-time high. And no, we got the lower high and then low and then lower high again, then lower low. And now it's just breaking down. Some people are losing their minds right now because it's not up only. The majority of the market cycle in Bitcoin and crypto is not up. The majority of the market cycle, the majority of the time you'll spend in this market, if you got in anywhere over here, you are lucky as hell. Even if you got in here, I would argue, even if you got in anywhere in this zone, you are so far ahead of the curve. But the majority of the time, when you're looking at this, is down, sideways, or chop. And then you get this little brief respite, right here. What was this? 230 days. Remember, there's about a 4-year cycle. 230 days out of 4 years. You've got to be patient. Even within this 230 days, you have chop along the way. So we want to see things like this. While a state pension fund, this is the Wisconsin State Pension Fund, bought IBIT the first quarter. Normally, you don't get these big fish institutions in the 13Fs for a year or so when the ETF gets more liquidity. This means most big pensions, state funds, treasuries, large corporations will wait 3 months minimum, but typically anywhere from 9 months to, even 18 months to let the ETF sort of mature a little bit, have the proper capital flow, and have a little bit of stability of uptime and use, and no regulatory issues. But we also saw, I shared this with you all, about a week or two ago. Bitcoin also there was not only one, there was 2 different Bitcoin spot ETFs in the US that basically broke records for the history of all ETFs ever. I'm not even talking about crypto. I'm talking about any ETF, other traditional assets that were really, really big ETF asset classes. Took 470 something days to reach that 10 billion mark, and IBIT and Fidelity both did it in the matter of, I can't remember the total, but it was like 67 days, or it was something incredibly small. But the appetite for Bitcoin and the awareness of it, and I also think the fact that Bitcoin is the most transparent asset on planet Earth, because you can look on chain, you can look at every 10 minutes, who's buying, who's selling, what size wallets are buying or selling. Like, you can literally swim with the whales just by looking on chain and understanding what's going on. And so we're seeing the setup to get this by having all of these, not only this pension fund, look at this, $100 million worth of BlackRock's Bitcoin spot ETF. But then we also see, right here, hundreds of asset managers have already reported owning Bitcoin ETFs. Now, some of the biggest banks are disclosing their ownership of Bitcoin, including UBS, JP Morgan. Yeah, that Jamie Dimon guy who was saying, how bad Bitcoin is. They're among these people buying. Bank of Montreal, Wells Fargo, BNP Paribas, and so many more. Some of these are small holdings, others from 50 million to many hundreds of millions. The important thing is that the taboo, this is the important thing right here. The important thing is that the taboo of owning Bitcoin among institutions is being smashed right before our eyes. Now it's going to become the thing where it's like, you mean you don't have Bitcoin on your balance sheet? Or you mean you're not offering this to your clients if you're a wealth manager or investment advisor? An allocation to Bitcoin is no longer crazy. It's going to be the imperative thing soon enough. And you all have been here before that. So hit the like button for yourself. All of this while the price of Bitcoin effortlessly floats above $60,000 with zero hint of market mania. There's been a sense of fear in the market lately, hasn't there? Especially look on crypto Twitter. You look at some of the other YouTubers' posts. There's this kind of fear mongering. There's this, oh, well, what's going to happen? There's no mania yet. There's not the flood of new retail. That's the incredible thing. Look what retail just did to GME with the return of Roaring Kitty. We saw they went up, a couple 100% from. Actually, let's look at this. Let me see if I can pull this up. Trading View. I just want to show you something, because this is, it went from a, let's see, GME, I want to do market cap. There you go. No, I don't want to do that. GME. All right, so $15.74 billion. So, I mean, this is kind of like, think of it like an altcoin, like a meme coin, not a meme coin because it's quite large, but like a mid-cap altcoin, right? Let's go to year to date. This was down here, $15. I actually want to look at the market cap. But, I mean, just look at this explosive growth from $10.91 May 1st, and currently up here around the $51. So that's a 5x in the matter of just really, we had this small pump here, and then over the course since May 10th, 4 days, we went from 17 up to $50. I remember at one point it was trading, I think, above 80 bucks. Let's see. Yeah, look at this. At 51, at some charts it went as high as 80. The reason why this is important, whether or not you're trading, I'm on crypto, that's why. There we go. whether or not you're trading crypto, whether or not you're trading GME, what I'm trying to highlight here is when you get that huge impulse, whatever the incentive is, whether it's a story, whether it's a combination of where we're at in the cycle and a story and a big buy, and then some shorts get liquidated, and whatever starts to move, when people start getting excited, when retail really starts getting excited, you can move from $9 all the way up to 100. Look at that, $117. This was that previous huge saga that we saw with Roaring Kitty. 1,200% gains, or no, 12,000% gains from 90 cents, 96 cents, all the way up here to $116. And then the market bled. The retail impulse was not there. But then what happens suddenly here at $10, we get the, just not even, hey, go buy. It was just somebody that was a part of this movement posted on their Twitter and relit retail on fire. The reason why I care about this, not because I don't care one way or another about GameStop, but what I like about what's happening here is it's one of those sort of, it's a sign that there's quite a few people out there, hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of people out there that are participating in this for multiple reasons. Part of it is, going against the system. And that's one of the things Bitcoin really is all about. It's not even necessarily going against the system, but it's something entirely outside of the system. Now, interestingly, ETFs are kind of that weird marriage of Bitcoin being outside of the system, but you can have access to it within the system. But the point being here is if we can get this type of really huge retail influx here on this asset, then when we see what we're seeing here with all of these different hundreds of banks getting involved, we're seeing, when the price really does start getting going, $60,000, you're going to be mad that you're going to be excited in 2 years to be like, oh yeah, I bought it 58. Right now it's like, damn, I bought it 58, or I bought it even 68. It's like, oh, why isn't it moving? Because you're just not being patient. These things move very quickly. But there's periods of time that are literally designed just to take your money from you if you're impatient. Will a huge parabolic run happen this time? I wouldn't bet against it. Whatever shape this bull market takes, we are now at the beginning of a very long run of mainstream adoption. We are at the let me say this again. We are now at the beginning of a very long run of mainstream adoption. This is the end of the beginning. You were here for the beginning. Doesn't feel like it right now, but remember, if we come over here, I just want to point something out to you. Is this, no, what is, no. Here we go. So we're thinking Bitcoin might go to, like, how could it go to up to 200,000, 100,000 even? How could it go to 300,000? Some people calling it for $1 million. We have a traditional asset here that was $600,000 a share. $600,000 a share for a traditional asset. Now, of course, this is the company that Warren Buffett, one of the best investors, in the history of the world, he is the majority. I think he's got a lion's share of his wealth is in Berkshire Hathaway. He built this up dramatically, but just look at this total right here for a traditional asset. And people are trying to say, they're doubting Bitcoin can get over 100, let alone 2, let alone 5, let alone maybe, in the millions. But possibility is not only there, I think it's programmed in over time, so long as we can be patient enough to allow that to happen for you. So when we see pension funds adding, and we see hundreds of banks adding, and we see that, we are now at the beginning of a very long mainstream of adoption, hey, we need to be bullish as we can be. And then we can also have stuff like this from Bitcoin Therapists, who essentially says, let's play this really quick because this is really good information. Let me go to turn on the audio. really good information, because we're here for Bitcoin. We're here to be outside the system. We want to have money in the future, not save money now and have it be gone in 10 years because of inflation.
The Silicon Valley Bank was bankrupt. 2 weeks ahead of that, nobody knew. 1 week ahead of it, one accountant knew. He played the telephone game and told some friends. They had internet connections and friends. Boom, a week later, it was gone. Okay?
And they're bankrupt. That's crazy.
And they're bankrupt.
Wow.
Think about that. Federal Reserve, we know it's bankrupt. You and I know it's bankrupt. I'm not sure it's going to spread with the same kind of rapidity. But it's an interesting model, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, if suddenly you'd rather be a little early rather than a little late when everyone says, holy shit, this dollar is no goddamn good. I want to exchange mine for shit that can't be printed. Right?
Yeah. This is almost like the butterfly effect on steroids, right? Where the butterfly that flapped its wings in Japan causes the hurricane in Florida.
Correct.
But it's like that, but we've accelerated the pathway through digital communications, basically.
Correct.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of an amazing story. So back to your when's it going to happen time frame, nobody really knows.
Right. This also, I would imagine, plays into the global awareness of Bitcoin, right? Just the fact that people are talking about the nature of money. For instance, the term fiat currency has become popularized in the wake of Bitcoin's emergence. So, as you know, pre-Bitcoin, when you use that term, no one knew what you were talking about. So, is this getting back to that change in consciousness you alluded to earlier?
I want you all to realize right now, just by watching this stream, even if you're just still on the fence trying to figure out if you want to get involved, maybe you want to get involved, but you don't have the capital right now. Just by having that frame of mind, you are light years ahead of 7.85 billion people. Because there's only been a handful of people in the world that are even actively participating in crypto. Think about it. It's in the probably in the hundreds, 180, 300 million, somewhere in that range. And that doesn't mean Bitcoin. I'm talking about all crypto. Within Bitcoin itself, it's probably in that hundreds of millions range. But think about the 8 billion of people that are on the planet. You are so far ahead of them just by even watching this stream or any crypto stream or reading even a document or an article or a file or watching a stream from anybody, any content, because you choose to, because you want to know more. Let alone if you already hold it, you're so far ahead.
The information technology is changing the way we perceive and think about the world.
I think that's right. I think it is to a certain degree, and and prices are signal. I mean, what would happen if we woke up one morning and Bitcoin was up $50,000 in a day?
Yeah.
What would people do? What would people think? I mean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Gee, and some people think, God, that's great.
Yeah.
Sold to you. I'm out of here. I got a nice profit.
Yeah.
Other people will go, no. I know what this means.
That's right.
It's going up 200 and then 500 and then a million. And I mean, this is fiat currency failing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, and that, that could be the trigger event similar to the accountant saying, oh my God, this bank has negative equity.
Right.
I mean, ask yourself right now, even if you've had a moment of frustration, let me say this. Ask yourself right now, even if you've had a moment of frustration in this market pullback, some people think it was a crash. We've only pulled back about 23%, 24% from all-time highs. We've seen on the previous cycles, we've seen a regularity on previous cycles. We've seen on previous cycles this regularity of the drops, the consolidation, and then the explosion to new highs. A drop, a consolidation, and then the explosion to testing all-time highs. What's next? Explosion to new highs. So when we really put into context what's happening with not only the supply and demand dynamics of Bitcoin, but the fact that we're so early in adoption just by watching even a video or a short like this or anything in regards to Bitcoin because you choose to, because even if you don't own, maybe you just want to know more. You're so far ahead of the curve. So all I can say is look to your future. Stop getting so lost in the 4-hour chop on a chart on Bitcoin. When we're getting a little bit of pullback, realize that chop is an opportunity for you. It's not an opportunity for you to give to somebody else by capitulating out in that moment because you're scared. Look to the future. Look to a longer time horizon. Now, if you can get behind that, I think that we're going to be on the same page here about what's coming to Bitcoin. Now, looking to this, we also see we do have people on our side. Senator Loomis and Wyden sent a bipartisan, both Democrat and Republican, bipartisan letter urging President Biden to stop threatening to criminalize Bitcoin software development in America. Now, the interesting thing about this is I don't want Bitcoin, I don't want crypto to become a partisan issue. Unfortunately, as it stands right now, and I'm not calling out anybody, I'm not even trying to make this political. Unfortunately, right now, the way things are set up, especially in the U.S. with our House of Representatives and the Senate and those that make laws, everything gets pushed. You have to be all the way left, or you have to be all the way right, and it's complete bullshit. It's stupid. There's so many people that are more middle of the road than what the House of Representatives and the senators, our elected representatives, actually portray, because they have to horse trade. Well, I'm not going to vote for that unless you vote for this, rather than saying, let's vote topic to topic, man. And right now, as it stands, unfortunately, the Democratic Party out there is severely more inclined to have limiting legislation or limiting bills that are being brought to the floor to be voted on. And Republicans are out there saying, no, we want more free capital. We want the ability to have freedom of our money, right? And so I do think whether it's this election or next, I think crypto is going to have a big part in this one in terms of what policies are going to be. And by next election, I think it's going to be imperative. It's going to be you're either for it or you're not going to get elected. And I think that's absolutely going to come. How much we inspire, but it still can't go up because too many new coins and old alts keep falling. Well, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. I think the cream of the crop is going to rise to the top. There's going to be market sell-off. So when we look at let's see, this chart, right? I had a chart somewhere. Don't know where it went, but we can pull it up right here. If we come over here, come to totals. We're on totals, so come out on this, go to total. This is the total 3. When we look at this, yes, we're having new coins come in for sure, but I mean, we still have a market cycle just like we do in Bitcoin. Very similar. The rise, the fall, consolidation, rise to new highs, fall with a higher low. Look at these lows. We're right about the previous all-time high of the market cap of the total 3, which is all the altcoins, minus Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? But we're just consolidating right now before we have that next leg up that's going to come up into this range. And I do believe that we're likely hit somewhere in this, on the low side, the 1.618, but more likely somewhere up here, I believe we'll probably be somewhere up here in the $3 to $4 trillion range. Let's actually move this down a little bit, somewhere in this range right here. Let's go a little higher for the high. And for this to happen, that would be a huge gain for the different altcoins that you're having. And yes, and I say this regularly, this is why I have so many different altcoins in my portfolio. These are all ones I've traded out of. Excuse me. But they all, they're addressing, some are competitors in the same sort of layer 1 smart contract sectors, but they're doing it in different ways. And some of them are, graphics and graphics processing, which is going to be a big part of AI, real world asset tokenization, AI, which this is, I think in a few days now, they're going to be merging with Ocean and AGIX to form the ASI token. So there'll be a larger competitor. So instead of having a market cap, let's see, instead of having a market cap of 5 billion, combining this with Ocean and AGIX, I think it's going to be like 13 trillion or I can't remember what the total is, but they're going to have a broader use case and also a stronger organization because we do have to contend with things like Apple and Google and Amazon and et cetera. Stacks, part of that Bitcoin ecosystem as they build that out. The graph indexing, much like you use Google or Yahoo or whatever you use for searching, Bing, those are indexes. All they do is they go out and they see, okay, what is the addresses of the different websites and what is on each website. So if you search, it pulls it up based on, reference of this one is most relevant to what you're searching for. The graph is essentially aiming to do that with crypto, essentially an index for different blockchains so you can access and search information and what's available on different blockchains from a somewhat decentralized, centralized source. So that's why I have Graph, Aerodrome, DEX on Base, OrdiSwap, DEX on the Bitcoin network, the BRC20 narrative, Florence Finance, one of those real world asset tokenizations, Cello, mobile. It's mobile blockchain development which is, I think, it's going to be a massive opportunity if this is one of those ones that gets knighted and says you're going to do well. But this could fail. It's a small market cap. I'm okay with it failing because I only have $1,700 in it. Swarm markets, tokenized assets in terms of tradable tokenized assets and such like that. And they have a lot of licensing other RWA platforms don't have yet. Alex Labs on the BRC20 narrative, Mint Layer, BRC20 narrative, AI, this is Codex, AI chain that's going to basically no code development and implementation and deployment of AI services and protocols without you having to code. You basically can use their AI to build AI protocols. ORNJ, BRC20 narrative. So you see, I have a variety of different things. So yes, some are going to do really well, but likely what's most likely going to happen here, there's going to be a sector of these running really hard, and you're going to be looking at other parts of your portfolio going, why isn't that moving? I'm going to move out of this and into that because that's not moving yet. And then the second you do that, you move out of the one that's not moving into that one that's already been moving. And then all of a sudden that one that you moved out of starts really running. You have to understand different narratives. We're kind of like, it's like a horse race. One will pull ahead and the other one, we have to be careful about what our moves are being made right now, because what is coming, I think, is absolutely incredibly parabolic for what's happening. I've talked about this before with the capital flow, and we can see here on the capital flow, we're getting that reset, much like when we saw the stochastics pulling back and having that reset. Look at this, much like this pull back into this reset. Look at where we were in the cycle, boom, up. Even though we pushed up, we got really high. There was a sell-off, a shakeout. The capital reset all the way back to zero, actually dipped a little negative there for a moment and then launched back higher. And then again, had another shakeout. The capital flow came back. This is what we're doing. We are in the midst right now of the setup for the next run. If you did not hear me, we are in the midst right now for a setup for the next incredible bull run, the next incredible bullish leg explosion to the upside. Right now is not a time to be frustrated. Right now is not a time to be upset. Right now is not a time to be bored. Right now is a time to be looking for opportunity and looking more long-term as to what you're going to do at the exit of this. That doesn't mean exiting and chop. That means letting the market do the work, taking advantage of what's available, and getting to it. Now, I do want to shout out here really briefly. Tomorrow, I will be doing the drawing on this tweet right here. You get $100 USDT if you retweet this. We're going to be randomly drawing from everybody that retweeted this. Let me click on this. So there's only been 19 people. If you come over here and retweet this, just retweet it. I'm putting it in the live chat right now for a chance to win. Retweet this tweet. Come over here, hit the like button, and retweet the tweet. And you're going to be entered to win $100 USDT. I will be drawing tomorrow. We'll do a random name picker. It's pretty high odds. You know, if you're willing to trade meme coins, you're not willing to retweet something for a chance at $100. You're also doing a great job at helping support the channel and by us helping support our channel partners, which help us keep the lights on. But that's all I got for today, everybody. I'm going to keep it short on the TA because I'll be doing some stuff in Discord later. I think I'm going to go over to the Sin City crypto offices as well while I'm here in Las Vegas. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope every one of you has a wonderful day. Look at what you're grateful for. Think about where it is you want to go and figure out how you can get there. It doesn't take jumping between a different coin every day 7 times. You can trade on a small portion of your portfolio, but look at a longer time horizon. Figure out what you want to stack into right now while the opportunity is still here. That's all I got, everybody. I love you all. I appreciate you. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding the bell. I love you more than I could say. I'll see you in Discord later. Adios. And make sure, if you want to get involved, remember, we still have that half month free special going on right now here at lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. Go here, join us. 15 days free. I'd love to see some of you guys sign up and join us in there. And you'll see on the closed screen here, you'll see the link as well as lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. I love you all. I appreciate you. If you have any issues, you can always email me at help@bitlabacademy.com. Adios, muchachos. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in.